Moana was a mum and the father was Maui. I watched this movie last night at the cinemas and I have a lot of thoughts. Alright, first thing, I just want to put it out there. I'm going to be talking about a lot of spoilers. So if you have not watched the movie yet, please click off this video, come back to it, and then we can all discuss our feelings. So for the people who have seen Moana 2 or have come back now, hi, let's talk about it. Did I think this was an amazing movie that lived up to the first one? No. I actually can't believe it's been 8 years since the first movie has been released. Going into this movie, I knew it wasn't going to live up to the first Moana, and I have a really big love for that movie. The first Moana, I can barely fault. Like the music, the visuals, the storyline, everything is amazing. And the watch time for this movie on Disney Plus is still like sky high. It definitely makes sense for Disney to explore Moana's story a little bit more, to see what the future holds, and also the big bucks. I don't think this has been done in a Disney movie before, but Moana looks older in this one compared to the first movie, which is based 3 years after. I really like that detail. Is it bad for me to think that when I saw the trailer and they showed Moana's new little sister, they only had her because Moana is constantly traveling out in the ocean and is never home? I'm sorry, that was my first thought. It can't be as bad as one of my friends thought so. She thought that Moana was a mum and the father was Maui. What? Also, sorry, last thought with the little girl. I like how they introduced her with big sis, little sis. Because in reality, if they didn't do that, who is that little girl? She's just another little kid in the village. Now let's talk about the things I thought were a bit meh. I have a feeling that everyone can agree that the soundtrack for Moana 2 doesn't slap. Like, at all. The first one was so good. I didn't leave the cinema with one catchy song in my head. Not to mention that Lin-Manuel did not return for this soundtrack, so I guess that's where it lacks. Which I also find bizarre because I definitely feel like there was a phase on the internet where Disney fans were sick of having him on the soundtracks, and then Moana 2 comes out and everyone wants him back. Also, I really hated Maui's song. I felt like it was the biggest waste of time and it wasn't catchy at all. Like, You're Welcome is God tier. Demigod tier. Chee-hoo! Is not. Time to level up. No, I'm not singing that. If I ever do karaoke, I feel like You're Welcome would be my song because, man, I know that song from front to back. Now for the additional characters. They were also the biggest waste of time. Yes, Moana is on a new big adventure and needs a crew, but to be honest, these characters I feel like didn't really add much to the story. You have the guy that's the biggest fangirl of Maui and can read old pictures and talk to the coconuts. And the farmer? Just kill him off, honestly. No, I'm kidding. But am I? I guess he's just there for comedic relief. I didn't really like him. And the boat fixing lady, she obviously fixes the boat at one point, but Moana has done that before. Why couldn't she do that again? There were just so many new characters that we didn't really know much about, and it just felt very overwhelming. And also the villain situation in this movie, I really thought the Bat Lady would have a bigger role. She sang one song and dipped. But also in the end credits, it does hint that there will most likely be a Moana 3 and she'll have a bigger role in that movie. Because in that end scene, we get to see the main villain who created the storms and such. So I guess that's something to look forward to. And also something I didn't really like about this movie was the pacing. It felt really slow in the beginning. I feel like it over-explained in some scenes, and also just seeing carbon copies from the first movie. Like, she's climbing up the hill again, and she's dancing with her grandma, and, you know, we've already seen it. I know this is meant to be a heartwarming feeling in the beginning, but we do see her dancing with her dead grandmother again. We've already seen this before. I do believe when the grandma comes back into the story at the end, that is more heartwarming and nice to see. Yes, her grandma's always with her, yada yada. But in my opinion, with the story perspective, I feel like holding that moment towards the end has more of an impact. And speaking of the end, when she literally dies and all the ancestors come around and stuff and turn her into a demigod, That was something I wasn't expecting at all, but I really loved that. Also, seeing Maui with no tattoos is disturbing. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the pacing in this movie. I feel like it took an hour to finally get somewhere in the plot. But also, it kind of makes sense because this movie was actually meant to be a series released on Disney+. Surprisingly, I actually was a big fan of the coconuts coming back into this storyline and finding out they were misunderstood. I bet Moana regrets beating up all those guys in the first movie. Also, I love the big green blob guy in this movie with the coconuts. He was great. And Hey Hey Screaming, a classic. Also, in my cinema, I have never experienced this before, but people started clapping after the movie. I'd probably have to give this movie a 6 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, I didn't hate the movie. I just felt like it lacked the creativity side. To be honest, Moana 2 kind of gives the direct to DVD, just like all these sequels in the past. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts were on the movie. What did you love? What did you hate? Etc. And also, if Moana 3 is happening, what are you hoping to see? Hopefully a better Maui song. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you later, Wobbly Boys. Chee-hoo!